It's a podcast from Steam.
Powered Giraffe, it's the
Bennettarium.
Oh boy, yeah.
We got a lot of stuff for you today on the show, cause it's a good time and you're gonna have a great day here on the
Bennettarium.
You're only saying that much? Okay, fine. I guess don't give the people what they want. More Bryan voice. Oh boy, it's the
Bennettarium, and
it starts right now.
Okay, cool. Good. Man. Okay, 15 people watching.
That's hard.
See, it's better.
Now, okay, that was the start of the podcast. So if you want to hear all our shenanigans before the podcast starts, we didn't put it in the public thing this time.
That's where it's a podcast within a podcast. It's actually the real podcast.
Inception.
Welcome to the Bennettarium, the only podcast made by the creators of Steam-Powered Giraffe. And we have three lovely guests today. We have me. Hi, I'm Isabella Bunny Bennett, and I play Rabbit in Steam-Powered Giraffe. And I also play GT, the giraffe. And they kind of have similar voices.
I'm Bryan Barbron, and I play Zero in Steam Power Giraffe.
And I'm Dave Michael Bent, and I play The Spine from the robot band Steam-Powered Giraffe.
Oh.
I have that practice because I do so many cameos, and not so many.
It's very impressive.
But I do quite a bit. Here, I'll give you my spiel, so that way, if any of you just want a video message request, this is basically how I start every single one. Hi, it's me, David Michael Bennett, from the robot band Steam-Powered Giraffe. You might recognize me. I usually have silver makeup on my face, wear a hat like this one. I usually have a hat on. Not this hat, but this is a hat. And I go by the name of The Spine, from the robot band Steam-Powered... We get the idea. Anywho, I'm here because it's your birthday. And that's basically my start template for it.
All right, you got it all down.
And I'll change it up. You know, I know people can...
He's available for birthday parties.
No, not.
Book
And
your
funerals.
book your what would be like a telegram but from Spine, a spinogram. That
Sure.
sounds like a medical like X-ray thing. Well, yeah. Anyways,
I'll give you some other tips. When someone's birthday, then you're like, and here's a special message from the Spine. Happy birthday, Susan. I've never done a birthday message for Susan. Congratulations on your trip around the sun in this Gregorian calendar-based society we live in. Something to that effect. And like lots of love from me and the rest of the band. Well, mostly just me and yourself, because you're the one who got this video message. So, see, it's just like a template, and you kind of...
So now you don't have to pay for it. You can
And
just
then I
record that.
I put the
fill
more
in the
honest,
voice.
like stumbly stutter stuff in between. But when I do the Spine stuff, it's all kind of
if
like
Steam-Powered Giraffe isn't your thing, we also the Hulk can say it.
Happy birthday, Susan. I don't know what it sounds like. Happy birthday,
Susan.
Or I can do Rabbit too.
Speedball.
Happy birthday, Doc. It's not a very good bunny impression, but it's a pretty good
Wow.
Rabbit impression.
You want a job?
Wait, or Daffy
You're pretty
Duck.
good, kid.
Daffy Duck. I know. Bunny can do Daffy Duck, or not Daffy Duck. Donald
Daffy
Duck.
Duck.
Donald Duck.
I can't do Daffy Duck.
You can do Donald Duck though, right? Happy birthday from Donald
No,
Duck.
I'm not ruining that.
Wait, what?
I did that on a TikTok that I don't know if it's actually gonna make the cut, but that's a joke. That's an old joke that.
Yeah, that's why.
Can you do it, really?
I put it up. Oh,
No. I mean, yes, Bryan. Yes, I can. Here it is.
Good.
All right. All right. Here it is. Everyone's favorite feathered friend. He's a goofster, but not too goofy, for obvious reasons. It's me, Donald Duck. That's what I'm going to say. Just now. Now, as you can see, that didn't have any character inflection, but look with the master of lights and sound and
Whatever.
craft.
It's funny to me.
I can. Is it funny because I still haven't done it?
Yeah, because I know you, and I know where the joke's supposed to go, and it's funny when it
Alright,
doesn't.
well,
So,
it's
the audience
great.
probably won't get it, but...
All right, are you ready? You ready for it? Here it goes. We're gonna do it. This is gonna be worth it. It's funnier the more I drag it out.
Well, for me, for sure. I don't know about
Yep, there it is.
But honestly, I
Gosh.
mean, it's pretty close.
I'm available to for birthday parties.
No, you're not.
It's not good. The joke is that it's not good. Okay?
Steam
It
Powered
makes
Giraffe
sense on the TikTok. Okay?
explains their jokes.
Stop judging me on this podcast. Is this supposed to be?
That's what this podcast is about.
Wait, is our podcast under comedy?
I don't know, actually. Does it matter? Is anyone going to find it?
Hopefully not. I don't know.
Look,
Hey,
we do put effort into it. I had to not press the local recording button because
you did it.
it wasn't
crashed.
because I don't know, it didn't work.
It decided it didn't want to work.
Yeah, I don't know. Even though we do this all the time, but it was like, you have too many things going on. We can't record locally and stream. I'm like, that doesn't sound correct. This happens all the time. So I just gave up. But it's okay. The video's only for patrons, and Vimeo usually saves it. I just usually have a backup of it. And that's the other thing is if I didn't press record on the audio, which has happened once or twice or a dozen times or so, a baker's dozen times, then I have to grab the audio from the video to put into the podcast actual. So this time I would have to like wait till the stream finishes, download the video from the stream, and then do the audio.
Podcasts are hard.
I mean, it's hard
Wouldn't
because
you rather
there's
just
no
play with
dedicated
Hot
setup.
Wheels?
I have to set it
That
up
sounds
every
a lot easier.
time.
Hot Wheels.
Yeah. Well, you do a great job.
It's not very hard. It's just always running into weird things, like because we're doing
Playing with Hot Wheels? Nah. They can do some wicked jumps.
Especially if you have the Batmobile Hot Wheel. It's the fastest by far.
There's just weird things when you're.
I think the one that looks like a
live
shark.
That's a lie, and you know it. Do you have a shark one, really? That would be pretty cool.
I had a shark one.
I bet there's a bug at a Hot Wheel somewhere, like hidden in my house that I don't know what it's doing there, but it's been sitting there waiting for me to come back and play with it.
According to Pixar, it's probably very sad, but having some quality adventures inside that bucket.
The most depressing adventure of your life. Some existential crisis is going on with that Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this the Cars Toy Story mashup I'm smelling?
I would, Disney just needs to own Hot Wheels. And hey, it could happen.
So let's just get right into what we normally talk about on the podcast. Or first and foremost is like Steam Powered Draft news. I'm just being the proactive one to push it along. It's
It's good. Good thing.
We've had 2 new music video releases in the last time since a podcast happened. So
Wow.
and by the time you're hearing this, we'll have 2 because we won't have released any more. So within the week or whatever after we record this. So yeah, the first one is well, how about you say, Bunny, since that was the first.
Oh yeah.
one that got
Well,
released.
the first music video we released was a cover of Elton John's "A Harmony," and that's available wherever music is purchased or listened to on the interwebs. And then our second one, well, Brian, why don't you take this because it's relevant?
Why, I don't mind if I do. It was Tony Braxton's "Unbreak My Heart," which is available at Warehouse and Sam Goody, wherever Warehouse and Sam Goody are.
Yeah, that's not true. But yeah, we did 2 covers. To kind of coincide with the other cover we did last year in September or so.
Summertime
Summertime
Sadness.
Sadness, which was it in September or was it November? I can't remember.
I'm not sure now.
I just forget once we would do releases. I need to move on, so I don't remember. In my mind, it was like September, but maybe that's when I started working on it, and then we actually released it.
Release it in November.
I remember when we released it, it wasn't summer, so it couldn't have been.
That seems about right, but
Maybe
yeah. So I
September in
got
the summer. I don't
basically
even know.
got 3 new covers. If you're just tuning into our podcast and haven't kept up with us, I guess for a while.
Yeah, and there's music videos with them. They're on Spotify. You can buy them digitally too if you want to support us on our store, Bandcamp, iTunes, all that.
Or if you want to support Tony Braxton and Elton John.
Yeah,
'cause
they obviously.
Oh,
I mean, to be fair, because of that, when you do covers and stuff, it's pennies on the dollar. I remember we've gotten 1 royalty from because a lot of people who cover Honeybee, when we get, because it's not like we can sign off on it. Anyone can just do a cover because of, I don't know. I don't know the. Back in the early 1900s, it was a way to make sure that record companies could have a monopoly or whatever on stuff.
Yeah.
So, you can cover any song. You just have to send. You just have to send money, basically. you have to get a license, but you don't have to ask anyone for it. You just do it. That doesn't mean that you can, do other stuff with the song, but you can totally sell it. to put it on streaming services and stuff like that, you need other stuff. But there's usually contracts and stuff already with those, which makes it very helpful. So we've gotten literally like, I don't know, I'm not going to say the exact amount, but it was literally like 7 cents for one copy of of a cover. And I'm like even if it's because it was like an a cappella group or something from a college or something, and it was and to be fair, most of the people who are licensing our songs, it's usually Honeybee, and it's usually for an a cappella group in a college or something. Sorry, but
we appreciate your 7 cents.
Yeah, so it's not, no one's going to make a ton, but it's one of those things, like, it's still good if someone hits it big. Like, you know, if an artist wanted to cover super popular artist it would be weird if a super popular
like Tony Braxton or Elton John. They're like,
Oh,
I really like your cover of Harmony. I don't know what Elton John sounds
but none of that's going to happen because there's not many
sounds
times.
Like Ringo.
It sounds like every
popular artists
like
don't normally
Tony
cover
Braxton's like,
oh,
I really like your song about Unbreak My Heart, your cover. It's great.
Unbreak My Heart.
So why are we talking about covers? Oh yeah, because we did some covers. And yeah, we'll do some more. I mean, we did, you know, we had like 3 or 4 that were all Spine driven or Spine led back in the day when Diamonds released, but yeah.
We're also on TikTok. Does our audience know that we've become like?
Yeah, I think that we've mentioned it a few times because I think that was last year around September. Everything's around September.
Everything just seems in September. Well, someone in chat, we have a chat by the way for our podcast, says November was when you released Summertime Sadness.
You know, around September, October.
No, wait, they said November.
No, I know.
I said September.
I was just joking.
Oh God, sorry.
I was feeding into the joke that you can't convince me that not everything happened in September.
I still think we gotta check to see if we're a comedy podcast because I'm not quite sure we know what we are.
So yeah, I think that's the most notable thing. We don't have any shows. Don't look for those. We're not performing live right now. But we are working on lots of things, and hopefully the cover songs tide you over until more original music or more covers.
Or
if that's
perhaps
what you're
more
waiting for.
covers.
Yeah, basically.
Who knows?
No, well, we do probably, but
I hope so.
yeah. Steam Powered Giraffe News. Not the most popular segment of our podcast. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, it's like the news and Steam Powered Giraffe. Remember when we used to do it every week?
One of these dozen people that are listening probably get all their news from this podcast.
The first 100 episodes were done in the first week, and the rest are every once in a while.
Well, there wasn't a pandemic. We were done working on an album. We had a lot more time, and we were starting it, and then we switched it to a month or every few weeks in a month, and now it's like, I mean,
'twas born out of not having a whole lot to do, and it kind of kept the camaraderie going when we first. It was fun,
but also everyone has a podcast, so that's another reason.
Yeah,
so true.
And I think the every other month is enough to catch people up.
Definitely.
I mean we could try to find whatever our bit is for these podcasts or something, and we've done a few different things over the years.
What if our podcast got popular? Not that it's going to, but what if it did, and it became more popular than our music, and then we're trying to play music at the podcast events. They're like, hey, we don't want your music. We want you to talk about being in Steam.
We don't have a structure, and we've never kind of made it that way. So it's very It's very much built for the band. It's built for people who know the band, and we do have rambles and stuff, but it's not.
Sometimes we have super serial episodes.
Do we?
Serious. Not
we have serialized
telling
episodes?
a story. But
We have
a couple during the pandemic.
There's a couple really serious ones. We get real serious, then we get real funny, and then we'll get super just nonsensical. It's a great time.
It's just it's just a hodgepodge. I don't. No one's coming here for. Unless you know the band. We could do that.
Meta podcast. We just
it's meta. It's totally. Yeah.
So we should sell a Steam Powered Giraffe the podcast T-shirt. Just see if anyone would buy it.
We could look at this. It's not terrible, but it's not Honeybee. Yeah. It's not those. It's not doing Honeybee numbers. If that's what anyone's wondering.
I just want to meet the fan who's like, I'm not interested in the music. I'm a fan of the podcast first.
I'm a fan of their voices, especially when they got those SM57 or not.
SM57, I can't differentiate from David and and Bunny half the time, but
they absolutely can since we did it remotely because the audio is
audio quality,
slightly more compressed.
No one has that ear that you have, David.
I think they
Only
might.
like
Maybe
certain
a little
people.
no, I've heard the podcast and recording, and yeah, you can definitely tell.
Oh, really?
We're a little crunchier.
It's just the Discord compression. It's fine.
Yeah,
It's fine. I like to be crunchy. It's fine.
Well,
I'm not mad at
otherwise
all.
we're
I'm not
gonna
upset. I'm not upset. Okay, I'm just saying. I like it crunchy. All right.
It's been worse.
I'm
in the
not
past,
upset.
but
I
it's
told
pretty
you.
Decent.
Yeah.
I tried to put a compressor on my microphone this time, and that
to make it sound worse. So
no, but just because but I don't know. Every time I hit the table, it kind of spikes. So I'm like, well, that's the opposite of. Anyways,
well, you know what we should do on our Steam Powered Giraffe podcast? We should answer some Steam Powered Giraffe questions.
we do have a lot of them too. I think.
It's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we do. We answer questions.
They don't have to be Steam Powered Giraffe related. They can be anything.
Try not to focus on the state of the world. There we go. So just for anyone who's new to this podcast that we only put out every few months, we have our $10 Patreon patrons can submit questions for us to answer, among other benefits, of course. But this one is a pretty surefire way for us to fill the podcast with a bunch of questions. It's good content. We got about half an hour until the podcast is going to be over. So let's get right to it.
I like how it seems like we don't want to be here. We're just like,
I'm keeping.
so we can get the heck out of here.
We're on a schedule today, so we can't just go for slightly longer.
You're right. Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
So yeah. And once again, we don't edit our podcasts. So, you listen to any other podcast, someone's going in there cutting for timing, cutting for, it sounds a lot better. And we don't
the raw
do that.
deal here.
We don't have, there's no reason for us to, because we could be going back and working on music and we're not popular enough that we can just hire someone, and there's no reason to do it. Okay. From Emily, will we hear from Peter Walter again, whether it be in a comic or an album? And that's Peter Walter the Sixth, which is a question about our lore.
Yeah, I think totally. We planned out way back when that David was going to be the body stand-in for Peter. I mean, I guess that could change, but we specifically wrote Peter to be our age, so one of us could play him. And that's David, who usually portrays him.
Or we only did it once, but
we only did it once, but at any point. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'll come back. He's an interesting character, and there's a lot of mystery and fun. Yeah, definitely. Never forget about Peter.
But yeah, it's kind of goes along with those questions we get about the lore in a lot of things. We put it in when it's relevant, and we don't want our show to get too meta or something, or so
he's
to be in the in crowd.
He's I mean, he's like a Willy Wonka character anyways, and he doesn't even have a face, so he just doesn't he's not a very public guy.
Yeah, so we did it for a Walter Robotics thing. I don't think there's any video from it. I think we shared it on Patreon. I can't really remember, but it was just a small little clip that we had before a show, and it's
great because now people will be like, I was there, I saw him.
And it's better that we didn't
It was live.
This is what it's going to be.
I used to actually dress up as him during local steampunk events and stuff. I went to a 2 or so as Peter Walter, way back in the day. So I don't know. Now he's just a legend. Does he really exist at all? Or is he just in our hearts and minds?
But yeah, we don't have stuff with the stage shows, and it's not like we put anything in the album. We have a little bit of stuff, but it's always, we never want to, I guess the idea is not to distance ourselves from people who just want to listen to the music. We don't want to get, it's already pretty lore heavy, us being robots, so it's kind of of course,
I don't think he's ever mentioned in the show.
No, and I don't think
not
maybe
at all.
that would
He's
make sense in a
barely
cartoon show or something. Of course you would be hearing about him, but for how the act goes, it's always well, in real life, he'd probably be in the background, and you wouldn't hear much about him, and you just
the most you see of him is the Walter Robotics logo, which kind of references the keyhole in his face, very vaguely. It has a little keyhole shape in it.
But we're very much aware that people the people who are really into the band lore really want more of it, and we're like, yeah,
Heck yeah. If you like your Peter Walter, you got to check out the comic. Maybe that'll be continued. They did.
Well, I'm just
That's
saying,
where
a lot of people
understand
want more.
where he-
Yeah, they want more.
Well, we love Peter here. He's what a guy with a face that.
Here's another question. This one's from Afrail9. Yes.
Yeah.
Since you guys can't see this, I'm not going to ask how I pronounce it, but that's what I got.
All right.
This one's for David. This is Bryan. What was the substance you used in asymptotic harmonics for the black oil, and where did you get those cool sunglasses? Okay, so the oil in the old Atomotonic electronic harmonic music video, that was Hershey's syrup. Or an off-brand.
What?
I can't really remember if it was.
You telling me you had delicious Hershey syrup in your mouth this whole time?
It was Hershey syrup, and then I think you tried putting like some food dye in it too.
To make it just a little darker.
Try to make it more black.
I didn't really need to. I just didn't want it to. I didn't know what the lights were going to do because it was pretty old. They were just GoPros we were shooting back then. So
yeah.
But yeah, that's what that was. And the cool sunglasses, those are like the cheapest. It's hard to find that specific style.
We just called Kanye West and was like, hey,
they're called any number of things.
We need those glasses.
But usually they're like $2 and you have to buy a dozen at a time. It's one of those kind of like party kind of glasses. I don't know what they're called. Shades or blinders or blinder sunglasses. But
yeah, blinders.
I recently just had to buy a box because the one pair that I had left fell when someone was vacuuming here, and since they're so brittle, it landed on carpet and it broke. So then I bought a box of like 12, and it was hard to find. It actually was because I had to look at like some independent run party supplies websites because they weren't anywhere else. And now I have a bunch, and I put them on stuffed animals around the apartment as a joke. You can't really see them here, but they're on all the dinosaurs right now.
Oh no, I see. Alligator Loki.
Yeah, that's one of the Paniacs. And I did it for just when they come home from work or something one day, and they're like, no, let's leave it. And I'm like, okay. So usually it was on like can you even see it in the video here? But yeah, there's the giraffe has a pair too. You can't. Let me describe for the audio people. We have video for our patrons who are $5 and up, and you can see some of this in my webcam.
That's cool.
Anywho,
that's neat. I want to get a Victorian doll, but don't tell anyone I get it, and then just put it somewhere, and then have like people in the house go by and they'll think they see it, and then it'll disappear.
Was that the question we were answering?
I don't care. and then I put it somewhere else, and then until it starts getting suspicious, and then if they ask about it, like, did you have a doll that? I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
I hate dolls.
I hate dolls. Why would I ever bring something like that into our house and then put it outside the patio door, just peeking in from the night?
Yeah, you'd never be able to get away with that because everyone would know that you're joshing them.
Well, no, because you said it.
No, because it would be elaborate. It would be so I would hide it, and then I'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you're ruining your plan because the people close to you might listen to this podcast.
No, they won't.
No, they won't. No, honestly, that is true.
I guarantee you.
Real talk.
Yeah, lay it on us, please.
My roommates don't care about Steam Powered Giraffe, and two of
my roommates don't
sometimes
care
work with us.
They care about me. But,
yeah, they care about me, which is fine. I don't want to be living with people who are obsessed with Steam Powered Giraffe, but we don't need to be humbled because no one cares.
No one's listening to my podcast. My kids
they think we're
funny.
To it. They think we're funny, just like overhearing stuff. But like if you, it's not like they're getting like sneak previews of songs, and they have the option.
What's that famous quote? Because we used to like have like quotes that we would from people that reviewed us, and there was a neighbor that famously.
Well, I wouldn't pay for them. I wouldn't pay to see the show.
They're good, but I wouldn't pay to see them. Which I think is the most glowing review. Is it still up on our?
No, that was our old website. Really old.
It was funny. Website. For so many years, we had that up.
Because we're
so proud of it.
Yeah, there's not really a review section because it'd be weird now to have a review section. Back in the day, it was like here's the only review.
Just look at any comment section.
Yeah, right.
Just look at any.
Or don't, I guess. But
no, it's not that bad. I mean, you can always find bad stuff on there. But we.
All right. Thank you for the question about Victorian dolls.
Okay, we're not going to get through all the questions at this rate, but that's sometimes how it goes. And if we don't get to the end of all of them, we'll just roll it over in 2 months when they're relevant. No, okay. Peter asks, I second both of these questions. Oh, that was that was the it was for the questions above. I should have read the whole question before starting to read it. What's become of Bebop, Cordy, and Mr. Pescado?
Ooh.
And they also said apology if it's too soon to ask.
Well, Mr. Pescado still appears in some videos, though it's definitely been reduced with some of the edits we made. But he'll probably come back in the future, I'm guessing. I mean, we did really like the character when we kind of put him together. So,
and for those of you wondering what that's all about, if you're not familiar with the band enough, Mr. Pescado was just one of our backing musicians who was in a fish mask and like a coat, and he just made an appearance in some of our 1896 music videos. But
wasn't Chelsea Mr. Pescado at some point as well?
Yes, but for like a picture in Hot in the Trail and stuff. But it's a static image of him. So Hot in the Trail music video we didn't edit out because it was like, well, it technically wasn't him. But yeah, this is a backing musician that we are no longer associating with.
Yeah, he used to appear in the Untitled music video, because this was like the second time we put it up, where it's like Mr. Pescado standing behind Rabbit. It was kind of funny, but
yeah, we re-edited the two music videos that person appeared in. So
yeah. As for Cordy and Bebop, I think like those are so associated with Steve. But I mean, we haven't, not that we have any like for sure plans. Like, well, like not to say that we never see him again, but like like going forward, we have other characters, we have other AI systems. I mean, some of you may know Mallory and stuff like that. So we could definitely, and plus Cordy is mostly like a speak and say anyway. So, but we'll have to see.
And for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, once again, most people probably don't, unless you've seen our live show. It's not like they're popular characters we don't feature them front and center or anything. But these are projection videos that would happen at our live shows, and there'd be two characters that we'd have a little bit of banter with and bits and stuff. And they were voiced by a sound technician, Steve, who we're also no longer working with. So
honestly, with that, it just makes sense because he was so integral in voicing them. So it's shifting it seems
good
and
it wasn't live, it was pre-recorded stuff, so we of course we could always have interactions with stuff, which we have. We've interacted with Gigi before, we've done stuff like that on stage, but it's pretty much like if the live show calls for that. We've changed our live show up quite a bit, even the reoccurring bits and stuff. So
I think they'll be around. I don't think we're ever going to forget about them, and definitely they might even have their place to return. But,
and it's not like Steve helped kind of solidify what their voices were, but Bebop is like a pretty old character, so I wouldn't if you're
he definitely became before Steve, but like if we need him, we don't have any plans, but for sure I think they'll probably come back.
If you're a patron, go look at our original Electricity Is My Soul music video, which isn't on our YouTube because it's so old and irrelevant, but you can see like the work Bebop like starts that up. Very old video, and so that's where that character came from. So if you're worried about the characters disappearing and stuff, I don't think you have to worry about that, because it's not the same as a performer who leaves. And
Bebop's been around for like forever. Like, I mean, he's like one of the original robots, right? Basically.
Yeah, I guess the first one, if he's the first one.
Not the first robot, but he's one of them. He was a giant robot.
Yeah.
He is apparently like he was this giant robot. Probably.
Are you talking about lore? Or are you talking about in real life? Because in
lore,
yeah. In real life, he was the first one that appeared in the video. So our first music video ever. So.
He is the first robot you see in the first music video. Yeah.
Dang, all right.
In my head, Bebop, he's a giant robot because he definitely helped move the robots and stuff. Because how are you going to move like these 2-ton robots? You'll need something that can like actually like lift all the sound equipment and stuff. So he's probably like the roadie, right? Wait, he's also controls the show, doesn't he?
We've actually had both Cordy and Bebop on some of our albums, but we don't draw attention to who they are. We don't explain who they are. It's just you kind of like understand this is a system voice talking, where this is something else. So
Cordy's supposed to be the operating system, and what's his name? Bebop is supposed to be kind of like the the interface. Well, I don't even know anymore because it's been so long. He appeared on their live shows though, and he would usually help start the show up with DG. So yeah,
Yeah, we've had a few bits where it was Gigi starting it up, or it was Gigi, or it was Bebop and Cordy. So yeah, the characters aren't going to go away, but we're not obviously going to use any of those recordings or old bits again for live shows. Yep. But they're definitely there to be used for future stuff if we deem it. Another question. This one is from Jesse. Let's see. This one is they're curious as to what may have led to the creation of Harold, which was used as a cue thing for the Walter Robotics Expo and was kind of put in the basement, if you will. But they're curious as to who he was, why he was only a one-shot character, and if you're okay with people creating lore for those characters. I think this kind of sums up in most of the stuff. It's not that we don't care about these weird characters. It's just there's been no avenue to even further develop them. That character specifically, which I think there's a video on Patreon. Yes, there's one with Sam too. It's very much we had this show that was just slightly longer than a normal show, which had like pretty much a big pre-show with some other acts and stuff. So it was kind of like a convention, but it was just a longer show. And we just, to fill in between stuff, we would have these like Walter Robotics kind of advertisements, and it wasn't super fleshed out. You can see some of it. It was all done live, which is why we don't have any recorded video of it. It was like green screen video that they processed live, because I don't know, that's just what the team wanted to do at the time. Whoever was running the live stuff. So there's only green screen footage that we've posted on our Patreon. But that's it. They were created just to fill the void and we did have the robots too. I don't think we posted any of those videos, but that was kind of the thing. We would have like a little intermission stuff, and I think we would play some music videos sometimes.
Yeah, we had like vendors, and people could walk around and get a bite to eat or see a giant electric giraffe that we hired.
Yeah,
it was really fun, but it was a lot more expensive for an event that didn't make as much money. It didn't really justify, but it was fun. I think if we were doing it in the future, we'd have
it made a good story for people. We hear it all the time, but I think
I went to the one and only Steam Powered Giraffe convention.
It wasn't really a convention, but because there was
it was what we could get away with and call it. What we were like thinking like maybe we'll do this in the future, but like.
Yeah, I mean it was a time and a place, and I think it would be very hard to do it now because.
Yeah, I don't even think there's that many steampunk acts anymore. Like, because like most of our guests were, because it was themed after like an inventors convention. That's what we wanted. So we had everyone, all these vendors that would like sell their Etsy store stuff or whatever, and like their inventors. Or we had like the musical groups. We had a steampunk magician. and their whole bit was like bringing in like they had like time travel or teleportation devices, like that kind of stuff. And then the electric giraffe, which is like this big light up robot thing. And it had a theme, but I don't know, getting that to again, like
I think it's more that the band doesn't want to have to run something that big, and it was the right size, I think, for us at the time. But now it would. I know it's for some people, we were probably popular to them in their circle back in the Tumblr days, but like our audience is a lot bigger now, even if no one, I kind of get the vibe that maybe people say, oh, their heyday was back then, but like our shows are bigger now, but we could never put on that without an immense amount of help, and there's no reason.
If we did again, definitely we have ideas on how to do that better, but it just never presented itself. Not to say that it ever won't happen, but like initially we were talking about like, boy, if we do this again, we should do like a panel or something, or like something like that. But how do you do that, and how do you like qualify a Steam Powered Giraffe convention?
Yeah, and I mean, it's not
when everyone's gonna go to the same panel, same show. Like, how do you present that?
There's been other acts that have done it that I've heard about in New York and stuff without naming convention people, and it works. It's just it's kind of like a small convention. And there's not many.
We could do. I'm not opposed to doing it. Like,
but we were kind of working within our means. We don't. I don't think we have the draw to have something that big. But we definitely, it's a little too. We'd rather just do a theater show. I think that's the end of the day. You don't see too many. I
think most of our shows, anyway, is like when you go to them, they kind of are all their own mini Walter Robotics Expo. Like certainly, like some shows have more story than others, but like. but like you go to a Steam Powered Giraffe show and you're in for like a big part of the show is like standing in line and mingling with people and seeing all the cool costumes and all the vendors and stuff. What do I mean?
We had like we don't usually have opening acts, so that was probably the difference for that convention. But but besides the performers we had that came before our show, everything else was the same. We took photos with people, which we have done at conventions, and so there was slightly more, but it was just kind of like what we were already doing, and we just kind of put it into a local San Diego show, which was, I guess we did it closer to Escondido, but yeah, that's pretty much what it is. I think it's more that it's talked about, and people kind of think it's probably bigger than it was.
It was fun. It was fun to think about, to put together. A lot of work, but
we have video of it. We have video of just our performance, because that's all the tape we could. We couldn't record everyone else's, the acts and stuff. You can kind of see them coming in for brass goggles at the end, and that's pretty much it. I know some people are real excited for something like that, but it's a very small amount of you, to put it bluntly. Plus it's it's not that we're opposed to work, but there's a pandemic, and it's very much hard. It's hard to think about the future of that, where we don't even have a regular stage show. So, and all I think what's exciting is just, like once the live show gets back on its feet, it's like you never know what to expect, because now it's been so many years. Like, it's just we're not going to pull out and do the same thing again. Like, we can breathe some new fresh air into it, and like a lot of the concepts and stuff that we learned from doing these sort of more high concept shows and stuff, whether it be like Echo Engine or some of the collaborations we had, like it's always fun to experiment, and you never know what we'll pull out of our hat. So I'm very excited to see what the next iteration of a live show will be, even if it is just a variation of what we normally do. Like, it's going to be brand new. New people, new bits, new everything. So hey. Yeah, and we have
fun, exciting to think about.
Just to remind people, we have no plans for a live show right now.
Tour right now.
That's pretty much and we've never toured. Everyone asks us, when are you going back on tour? And we're like, well, we've never done that. We've done one show, gone home, and done another show. We have flown in between places before, but it's usually like a stint of like 4 shows maybe in a month. But it's all separate, and we're going back and forth between different states, and we're not packing up a bunch of stuff and being on the road. That just has never happened for our act, and we've never made that happen. So I don't know if that helps clear up people. Like, when are you going back on tour? So easy to get to my local venue. Like, nope, we'll rent a theater, we'll do a show there. And that's pretty much how it's always been. Okay, we're not going to get through all these questions. Maybe we can stay a little longer, Bunny and I, to try to answer a few of them, extra ones, before Brian's got to take off. But let's get through a few more, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Unless any of you want to switch to talking about something else for the last.
No, hey.
This
people what they want.
This one's from Sarah, and this is a long one. Do you want me to read the whole thing, or should I try to paraphrase?
Just read the whole thing, I guess.
All right.
I mean,
okay. It's a long one, so
okay.
I don't have a good way to paraphrase it. Do Walter workers always wear their uniforms, or is it only when they're on duty? Do they only get one uniform or two? Can they wear casual clothes on or off hours? What about if they need a new uniform or need to repair a tear? Are the Walter workers responsible for uniforms, maintenance, or is there a Walter worker uniform department that covers all that? Also, if someone washes a bunch of uniforms with red socks, you're going to end up with a bunch of pink Walter worker uniforms, which would be hilarious and disastrous. Is there a laundromat to wash the uniforms, or is it just a few washers and dryers in the manor, with long lines of Walter workers waiting their turn to wash their clothes? Finally, but most importantly, does the Walter workers uniform come with pockets? Okay, that's definitely more than one.
That's
one
a lot.
question.
That's a lot of questions.
I know they're all adjacent, but in the spirit of
I can answer those. I can answer a lot of them just by. Well, we already know Walter Robotics is really poor. They don't have a lot of employees, because we don't know how many, but like it can't be more than 100. It might be significantly less than that. So like, there's definitely going to have to be some on-site washing machines and stuff, because they're working in what's essentially like a warehouse or a factory. In some respects, there's going to be oil. There's going to be so they're going to have like probably heavy metal, heavy aprons, leather or metal or whatever, and they're probably gonna have a lot of tears and stuff that maybe they'll fix. But there's probably like a lot of just really gross old uniforms that people are wearing, depending on what they're doing. If they're welding and stuff, they're probably dressed in something that's appropriate for that. I feel like the Walter Walker outfit, it's probably more for for the stage shows. But if they wear them behind doors, it would be like it's more practical to have like a jumpsuit or something, right? And of course they'd have pockets. You'd need a lot of pockets. So yeah, I think you can just draw the conclusion that they're probably responsible for their own like uniforms, or maybe they just toss them in. But like depending on what you're doing, you might wear a different uniform depending on like, are you welding, are you sewing, are you working with dangerous chemicals, are you at an event selling merchandise, are you maintaining computer, like, so maybe like the default is like it's always just kind of like a white coat with like stripes and stuff. But I don't know.
So for a question like lore like this, there's so much that stuff could be explored in a medium in the future.
Yeah, there's so many great directions just by asking those questions. I mean, but yeah, totally. Like I think it's kind of a better angle to go with, anyways, from a creative standpoint. Just that they're this, they're very Ultra Robotics is poor and everything's kind of falling apart, and maybe there's some mismanagement going on. Like I mean, we already know that because aren't the Walter workers basically irradiated? I don't know.
To answer the last question in that long list of questions is the Walter workers have pockets probably in real life, but for stage, no, because if you're on stage, not really a use for pockets, I suppose, for them in particular. But it would come in handy for merchandise and stuff, I suppose. But no, they just carry bags with them to carry their personal items if they need to.
Headcanon, once again, they wouldn't need it for the stage show, so those are literally costumes. Yeah, in the universe too, right?
Yeah,
that's what I always thought. I don't think the robots really wear their black and red outfits all the time, because that would create too much wear and tear. If they're going to wear costumes around the house and stuff, they're probably wearing, like, if clothing at all, they're probably wearing like I don't know, burlap or something that's going to like be hard to tear. Think about it. Or maybe not. Maybe they have to be naked because maybe clothing like traps heat too much. Think about that, huh?
Yeah, I mean, the robots aren't anatomically correct, so you can all just throw your fan fictions into the garbage. and they're never getting any upgrades for any of that stuff. So
no, but there's probably other robots that exist in our universe, but I don't think we're ever going to cover that. Like, I mean, it can exist in your fan fiction, but that would be pretty fun. Very specific and.
So let's get through a few more questions. And
I gotta start moving out.
Yeah, you take off when you need to.
I salute you guys.
I just don't want to make some of these questions.
Doing a podcast
for 2 months.
Me and them. See you later.
See you. Have a good show. Okay, cool. That worked out okay. I don't have to adjust the stream, right? It's cutting off a little bit on yours to the left, but it's only like
It's all right. We don't need to see.
Nah, it's fine. It's not cutting that off much at all. It's not as centered, but for the video, it's fine. Okay, I don't want to take. We can take as much time when we start feeling fatigued from answering these, because a lot of these we don't mind answering the same questions over and over again. But when we get to the lore stuff, I feel like we end up having the same question, the same answer is like, well, we never talked about it, but if we can find that one nugget to talk about, that's always good. But apologies to anyone if it's a disappointment. It's not because we don't want to take the time to answer it. It's just it's hard to, if we focus all on one lore question, then we'll never get through it all. Okay, this question is from Nanette. This is a question for the band members. Tesla just announced they should have a humanoid robot prototype ready by the end of September. Yeah, September. It's good. It's a good month to just say when things will be done or things got done.
Oh no!
If you could get a humanoid robot, what sort of features would you like to see in it? What would you use it for, and what would you and would you want it to be sentient?
See, am I in the? I want robots to be less human.
Yeah, not human. Yeah, not humanoid.
Like definitely, like put a face on it or something that's roughly a face. But it can be bipedal. Whatever. But like.
But a humanoid
wanna-
one that imitates humans, it's kind of creepy.
Why do we want to do that? Like that
It's
has
impressive
specific
when it's
uses,
like
right?
in lore and stuff like that for us, of course. But in real life, it's like, well, we're gonna personify anything, right?
Yeah.
People
I
do
mean,
with
making
their
it
pets
it,
and animals all
it
the
makes
time,
sense. It makes sense to make it human enough that we can relate to it.
and that we can interact with it and comfortably and not feel weird. But like, the Google Home, or whatever they call it. Is that what they call it? The Google Nest or whatever it is called now. Like, if that was a humanoid, that doesn't make the product better for me. It makes it creepier, and I don't want to talk to it. I'd much rather talk to a little disc on the kitchen counter.
Yeah,
like, hey,
or like something that looks like an animal, or like.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll probably see a lot of cute robots to start.
But with that said, it's not because they're humanoid that is creepy. It's just it doesn't make sense from a design point of view, right? Like, that's impressive to make something, but like, unless you're doing something creepy with it and you're like, you want it to replace a human in a weird way, that's probably
if it's in a social circumstance. But even then, like, the uncanny valley is such a bad problem. You like, you could just imagine, like I'm sure. Well, the robots that we're seeing right now are a lot of it's like utilitarian, like very like they don't have a lot of personality. They're just very like the little delivery bots that are now delivering to campuses and stuff.
Or Boston Dynamics definitely puts some personality into the program stuff, but that's, I feel if we're talking
just
about,
from a design perspective, it's not like they have like facilities of eyes and a mouth and a face. Some of them do, but like,
and that's
I feel like we're gonna get that
great
the user experience.
Theme parks and stuff. I think robots that look humanoid are good there, because you don't want that's better than an actor having to go over and over again the same. I mean, there's a time and place for that kind of stuff.
Sure, but what you're not gonna put a cute bunny face on a robot if you have the chance to? I want it. A robot crossing guard with like a face.
So that's probably not the answers that you guys are probably looking for, especially from a group who dresses up as humanoid robots. But in practical reasons, the robots you see for industry and stuff make the most sense. And if they are humanoid or bipedal, that's probably it's because they could probably they always look slightly different. And if you're making something for a theme park attraction, that makes perfect sense of why it would need to be humanoid if you're trying to replicate a human character.
I think realistically what we're going to get are little tiny Roomba type devices to make it just slightly convenient with some AI systems to help us in our day-to-day life.
I mean, I mean, smart functions is, as far as robots go, I don't know, like, it's in my day-to-day life, it's hard to imagine what a humanoid robot would even help with.
What does it do? Yeah, like,
but like smart home stuff, like, I like being able to adjust the air conditioner with my phone or have the door locked.
I think where it gets once you instill something with intelligence, that creates a whole nother. Suddenly, you might not even want to call it a robot because technically it's getting into like a living thing with a conscious and stuff at that point. But
I guess Roomba's a robot, but I don't need to necessarily interact with it too much. It's cute and isn't it great that we personify it a little bit? But it ends there. And if it was a humanoid robot with holding a vacuum, I would be. I don't know why.
I do think
why that exists if that's the case. Because
I think the anthropomorphization of machines is actually probably a good thing that we have right now, because I mean, eventually, probably in our lifetime, we'll start seeing just the starts of the issues with robot sentience. Maybe.
Yeah,
like I can imagine, like in
there's plenty of movies
maybe
out
in a couple decades
that aren't focused on humanoid AIs and stuff, and Her was it was basically just kind of the cloud version of what sentient robot would be, right? So
we joke about it, but hey, be nice to the machines, because they might be working for evil corporations or something, but maybe they'll spare you if you're nice to your Roomba. Maybe they're keeping all this data for the great robot uprising. I know we joke about that, but like if that actually happens, like you'll be glad you didn't yell at your coffee maker.
I suppose, but it's always it's going to be hard to program in morals and
why would your coffee maker need morals? I suppose. Because we can.
But
we can.
So
darn it.
I guess that answers the question enough. I mean, we touched on a little bit of all that.
There you go. But
I like I like being able
great
to
great to think
animation.
about this kind of stuff, though.
Okay, this one's from Alistair. I'm someone who suffers really badly from stage fright, and I really want to dabble in some music in the future. Any advice for a person such as myself?
First advice that really helped me, and when I was a young actor, was see it as excitement instead of like nerves. Because I think even to this day you get a little surge when you go out on stage, even if you've been performing forever,
which is healthy. I think you need that. It would be weird if you were super comfortable.
I think that's only happened like once or twice, but usually by the time the curtain opens, you're like, oh, that's a lot of people. Okay, and my heart's already going. But honestly, like I would say, like sometimes I get out there and the first thing I do is my heart rate's way too high and I can't really breathe because it's intense. Like it happens, and that's why it's so important. I think for me, like, well, I always call it like I need that moment where one of us drops her pants on stage. As soon as the audience laughs at us, all my insecurities or like worries drop, and that's usually within like the first 5 minutes once after the first song, and then it's like, okay, now I can. I mean, that's just my own personal experience. I know everyone's different.
Yeah, and it's also, I think, I can always think back to the first time I had stage fright, but I always still have stage fright, technically. Like, you psych yourself up, there's plenty of thoughts that can go through your head, and you kind of go through the motions. And maybe it can, you can have a bad moment in your head on stage, which, you just have to kind of get through it. But I think the thing that helps anyone, even if you struggle being on stage, which I think all of us do at some point, it's kind of a mix of being comfortable, but it's also because you've been on stage before and you know what to expect, and there's a little bit of comfort in that, knowing that, like, okay, even if it goes horribly wrong, we've pivoted before, and you're not the only one on stage, so that helps. But doing it over and over again. For my first stage fright in high school and stuff, I just lost my line. I did it in rehearsals. I did it in some, even preview nights. But the minute there was like more than those 10 people in the audience, it was like and I did my whole opening number too, or whatever. It was like a musical, How to Succeed in Business. But my first dialogue, where it was just us with the curtains closed doing a little scene while they did the set change behind, that's where I just, a little too close to the audience, you could see them. I had to answer a phone and say all this dialogue myself, and I froze up. And but the lead actor at the time kind of like fed me lines like, oh, what are they saying? Like that was obviously not a line, and I immediately went into it. So that was my brush with stage fright, and I think it's important to kind of have those too, because you need to be able to recover. Like, you can't just expect it to go well all the time, and I'm glad one of my first times it didn't go well.
I mean, you got to have that. Yeah, I mean, I didn't learn my lines very well for one of these shows that we did in high school, and that was my kind of brush with it for the first. Well, I don't know if it was the first, but it definitely was like I didn't have it, so I had to we skipped over some lines, but luckily the actor I was with was able to kind of steer me in the right direction. But it's funny because I remember specifically where I hung up, and it was, I remember. And obviously I didn't remember. And the director said that, the drama teacher after the show was like, obviously you don't remember. I remember, but you don't, because you didn't learn your lines.
Was that Cheaper by the Dozen?
It was Cheaper by the Dozen. I'm the eldest son, and we're the framing device for the play.
Yeah. So
it's me and my sister, and we're supposed to be like adults at this point, and we're kind of like telling we're reminiscing about our dad before he. Spoilers, he dies. I know they remade it. I don't know if they kept the dark ending.
Plus, it's like what, 1920s is when it's happening, or 30s or something. So it's Anyways, we were both obviously in the same high school program.
Good play. It's just kind of bittersweet.
So yeah, I would say experience too. Get up on stage and fail again, and find those opportunities where you can. Like, I mean, we haven't done theater in forever, but we've done Steam Powered Giraffe, and that's where our chops come from. Is that street performing? Like, I mean, we've had terrible shows. The difference between a terrible show and a good one is not too different sometimes, and the only difference between the person who stops doing it and doing it is the person who stops doing it. Stop doing it. I guess.
Definitely have my share. We have our share of embarrassments on stage.
We think about them all the time. You know.
Oh yeah, there's clear in my head.
But once again, the audience doesn't want you to fail. So if you can somehow recover, then they're fine. You know, it would be weird if we were like, "Well, I screwed up. I'm leaving the stage now."
It also bears to be repeated, even though, like, I know if for like high school and maybe, you got to work as like an ensemble. You got to think of it as it's not just you. I mean, that's in a perfect world, like you would never miss a beat because the actor right next to you knows your lines and their lines, and they'll be able to help you recover. So I mean, you can't always have that, especially when you're doing like free community theater and stuff. But if you can, like that should be what your goal is, to work as a team. Like, I mean, because you are, right. Like a show is not one person; it's everyone. So ensemble.
With that said, we've also had a brush with that where people, where performers have taken advantage of Bunny and I for
yes,
and it's not great when you have when the other person who has parts, and these are harmony parts, has to do them, and we only have part of them, and that does not make a chord. It makes part of a chord.
Well, I guess with music and stuff, it gets into a whole nother
but
a whole nother kind of. I mean, you got to be.
Act kinda mixes,
I mean, that's the thing is
we're not memorizing lines really. We do. There's a little improv, and someone can get away with kind of like messing up everyone, because at the end of the day, we're getting to that song no matter what.
Well, I mean, this is why you have round tables after shows, and I mean, even we do, but usually we don't. Usually not too much. Like sometimes we'll talk about, we made a mistake here, we made a mistake, but
we save it for rehearsals and stuff, is where we kind of touch on all that stuff.
Yeah.
Which sometimes can be in between shows, but it's way different. Like something bad happening on stage, or someone missing something. Our show's a little more flexible in that sense, I suppose. But all of us get through. Like none of us try to actively make the show not happen, but we have had performers in the past that made it very difficult to even do our lax show, if you can imagine that. So
it's an intense show, so it's just like you got to be on, you got to be like moving,
and there's times for mess ups. In fact, it's we kind of dig into that, but there's a difference.
That's kind of the charm in a way. A lot of people have told us
there's a difference
how well we recover from.
There's a difference from that and like not learning the material that you have to learn, of course.
Yeah.
So
hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight, like how we've dealt with it. But yeah, you shouldn't worry about ever losing it, because it's actually going to help you. Yeah. But yeah, you don't want to psych yourself out. Yeah. So just learning to kind of write it and use it.
But yeah, what you said was the good takeaway is think of it like excitement. So once you get past that, over that, just learn to live with it, basically. And if you haven't ever done it, it's hard to like psych yourself up to do it the first time. So just know that, well, no one remembers my first time on stage except me, because there's like 50 people in the audience, maybe. I don't know. It's a high school
thing. So. Like if you're just getting into it and stuff, you're probably starting with some less. You're not like one of the featured roles, so like use that to your advantage. Get comfortable.
Yeah, for sure.
Observe and learn, and maybe it's going to be a little nerve-wracking, but at least you're not the main character, right?
Yeah. Okay, here's another question. This one's from Spine, so a user who has the Spine as their name. It says it's from Spine. Very quick question, but I'm curious. What are all of your pronouns? Okay.
Mine are she, hers. Yep.
Yes. Mine are he, him. Is that right? Did I say that correctly? I hear it the other way around, but I never actually say it myself.
Brian's is he, him.
Yeah, I think Chelsea and Camille, she, her.
She, hers.
Yeah. I know this is more of a question of, is there anyone who uses different pronouns?
I'm the only one. I'm transgender. That's probably really obvious to everyone. So, but I use she, her pronouns. Live life as a woman.
This one comes from Leaf. I believe Leif. Leaf.
Okay. Leaf.
Is
That sounds about right.
Yeah, okay. Do you all come up with your short, goofy videos on the spot, or is it something that is planned beforehand? By the way, I discovered this band not too long ago, and I find it incredible how close you are with your audience. Just wanted to thank you for that. Okay, so yeah, Leaf is talking about our TikTok and short form videos. So we call them TikToks internally, but they are posted to Instagram Shorts, or Instagram Reels is what they're called. Sorry, and YouTube Shorts as well. But yeah, we can talk a little bit about the TikToks. That's a more new thing. We have done small little bits before and posted them to YouTube, but the portrait style videos that we've been doing that.
It's definitely been a new, kind of new, but yeah, I mean, it's really new for me because you've been doing it for like a year or two now.
With the spine character, and Rabbit, we've only had
Rabbit hasn't really been seen that much outside of like maybe a few choice videos. So I'm still getting used to it, and honestly, I'm asking myself the same question because like, yeah, I'm having to write a bunch of jokes, but not all of them work, and I'm trying. I think honestly, I mean, to answer the question from my perspective is that it takes practice and it takes time and effort, and I'm still trying to find my groove.
I think we've had for the ones that I've done, I pretty much have like a big idea for a TikTok when I'm in makeup and going to film one. I don't do it all the time, but usually now that we have shows and stuff, I usually get in makeup for music videos, and then I just happen to stay in makeup longer to film some TikToks. And I usually have a bigger, grander idea to make, whether that's me playing a song, which takes a bit of time because I have to find this. Sometimes I don't know a song, and I'll play a little bit of a cover that's like, a verse and a chorus or something. Or it'll be something like there's this Roomba one we did where there was actually timing, and I had to like figure it out with someone to help me film, and or one where there's a Halloween one where it's like I have makeup on and it's like Spine's gonna touches a paintbrush to his face and like as if he painted his whole face human skin color, and then walks out the door with no pants on, and like some of those took a lot more setup than probably warranted based on the amount of views they got. Sometimes you hit it out of the park, but you can't. Some videos that took me 5 seconds and I thought it was super unfunny are best ones. Unfortunately, what can you do? You can't really figure out the algorithm or what people are gonna latch onto. So
we'll see how this all evolves too. It's so new, but like
so it's pretty much like we don't try to make garbage content. We kind of vet it a little bit, even through with ourselves of the band. But like I would say it's about like 3 or 4 ideas that are just in my head before I start filming, and then the rest is just what I come up with on the spot. At least for the last few sessions that I've recorded some TikToks, and I still have a few that we haven't posted publicly too. We kind of hold them back. We don't want to clutter up all our social media and YouTube with like a new TikTok every day or something. But yeah, there's still a few more Rabbit ones too from the last time Bunny did it, and we have some more too that we just haven't edited and gone through
and more to come and more sessions to be planned.
Basically, the easier that we can do it, the better. But we're not trying to turn into a TikTok exclusively.
Well, I think also we have a lot of training. If you guys are saying like this stuff is funny, which I think it is, like David's coming up with some really funny stuff. We have training in like comedy, like anyone who's seen our live show knows that. Oh yeah, we're a comedy band, even though our songs aren't like the in between is hilarious. Like that's kind of our goal. So like this it's kind of just an extension of that, because we already know the characters and they're pretty wacky. It's just finding the right bit framing or
and Bryan
gimmick.
Bryan has done some TikToks too, of course, and most of them I have been there when we're filming other stuff, but he's done a few like in December where it was just him and he gave me some stuff to say, hey, what can you do with this? And usually we don't edit too much, but sometimes we do. So yeah, we're all kind of, I think we're all kind of funny in our own way and can be. It's just
it's just we got the wit and stuff. We just from practice and working with each other. So channeling that and kind of letting the characters live their best lives. And
but I can't say we've had too many collaborations on the TikTok front because it's all, of course, it's through the
but I mean that'd be interesting to see
So yeah, yes, Bunny's funny by herself. I'm funny by myself. Bryan's funny by himself.
And we're even more hilarious when you get us all together and we start writing.
I think that's true. We can be. I mean, but we try to also. We've been trying to like kind of test the waters of what's funny. Because there's TikToks that I filmed that I didn't think were funny, but I thought maybe people would think are funny. And sometimes yes, and sometimes no. And that's not always due to the content. Sometimes just due what's put in front of people during the algorithms. But So we have I think we kind of stretch it a little bit.
In a way, it's kind of like, well, maybe a little less for you right now, but it's like kind of seeing what sticks, kind of throwing ideas out there and honing in on something we're trying to.
This next question is from Catherine. Could you talk about the lighting effects for Harmony and Unbreak My Heart videos? Not asking you to divulge tech secrets, but interested in the creation discussion with the band, as well as how much was created via computer versus filming techniques. The Unbreak effects almost look like a painted canvas. Okay, so yeah, we did use real lighting for those videos. Unbreak My Heart has some live action, of course, in a meadow here in California, up near the Cuyamacas, and so that one, obviously, we just had natural lighting and just took whatever we could get. But for Harmony and both Unbreak My Heart, we have some green screen. Harmony's all green screen. So we did, even for those shots, we all used real colored lights. To say how much is digitized from that is like, well, we definitely upped the saturation maybe a little bit, and we color correct the things. So of course it's hard to say what it looked like in real life, but it looked pretty vibrant in real life too, and it looks even more striking when we, up the contrast just slightly, make the blacks a little blacker.
If you're kind of noticing that, oh, this is kind of different than what I've seen in the past, there's a reason for that.
Yeah, we didn't want to do some flat lighting with the green screen, which is what we usually did, just because we weren't trying to do dramatic lighting, I guess, which I guess a little bit of shadow we've done before, but this we actually thought consciously about these shots because we were shooting green screen for the umpteenth time during the pandemic, and we're like, let's make them a little bit more interesting, I suppose. But we also did some on Unbreak My Heart. I did a few tests with a white canvas backdrop. Actually, it was just paper. It was a paper backdrop. I said canvas, but it was just we shot some lights on. And I think that's kind of what we did for most of this stuff.
We're learning lighting, basically, to light more dramatically, dynamically. And it just adds that little extra layer of,
because most of our stuff has been like, if we're filming at a show, the lighting is taken care of by a lighting person, and it's not usually set up for a specific shot, so you just get what you get. And that's how a lot of our stuff was. Here, just fill the room with this, and it's not to say you need individual lights for every, you look at our AH music video, and that's just a wide as lights thrown onto a white thing. There's nothing really to you don't really need facial shadows to make it look interesting because you're catching a whole band and you kind of need to see everyone. So So the close-up kind of stuff, we've had some stuff like Diamonds doesn't really have dramatic lighting in it. It doesn't necessarily hurt the video, but any shadows are literally just because there's one light source, right? And it's not positioned enough where the shadow on your nose isn't that golden spot or whatever.
Since the lighting technology has actually improved and actually become more convenient. I think. I don't know, but
there's a lot more affordable LED
you can change.
stuff,
you can change the
bright
lights on an instance, right? And this could be blue right now and then turn red if I wanted it to, or anything. So that's pretty neat.
I think that's a new thing. I think we've done some digital effects in the past. As far as Unbreak My Heart looking like a painting, the background we used was had a painting kind of feel to it for the background of the green screen shots. I think we cast some digital lights onto that. I did it anyways in the video editing, just to kind of make it look like it all matched. It still looks like we're on green screen, but there's a little bit of movement on the canvas, the digital canvas that we're putting behind us.
Yeah,
that kind of makes it look, I don't know, grounds it with us that are. And that was kind of hard too, because all three of us shot on different days, different lights, different cameras. And trying to make it all kind of work together.
It was a little challenging, yeah.
But we're pretty familiar. Bunny's camera is pretty similar to the one here, and it's
just getting the lighting to look similar enough, so it looks like we're kind of in the same space.
And we just felt like we wanted to show all the robots in these videos because we have ideas for other videos that are just featuring single robots, which is way easier to shoot, honestly, but because we don't need to see the robots there's only so much time. We would have loved to put all the robots.
It feels good to see the whole gang in 2022, right? It's like we got a good number of videos now where you can see how the robots look right now.
Yeah. I guess we do. Are you still good to go? We can try to get the rest.
I can
of
do a few more. I do need to go to the bathroom.
There's 4 more questions. What do you feel? Do you just want to go? Because it's not like anyone's gonna care. I can just I'll just talk about something if you want to go to the bathroom real quick. Or would you rather just stop? Because we can resume or whatever.
Yeah. Stop. What do you mean, like stop and resume?
Either way.
Pause or we can end the podcast.
We can end the podcast or we can pause.
Let's end the podcast because we've been going for a while, right?
Okay, good. Just making sure. It's hard to just to.
I mean, I love answering questions, but biology just happens.
No, you're right. We don't need a podcast that's over an hour, anyways.
These are great questions, guys. Thanks for.
That's the only. There's an uptick in questions when we do the podcast every other month because now there's more time for them to accumulate. Yeah. And there have been some that came in today because I reminded people, hey, have you got any questions? But I wasn't sure how many we were going to get through. But hey, now we still got 4 questions for next time. So we'll save those. And thanks for joining us. 14 people by the end of the stream. So, and we peaked at 15 for the live stream. So thank you, patrons, for joining in our rambles. We hope you're staying safe and dealing with the world
best you can. Yeah.
I
hope we can bring a little light and levity, even if for only an hour or 2.
Yeah. Look forward to sharing more stuff that we're working on with y'all soon. And I guess we don't need to do an outro.
It's Steam Power Giraffe podcast from Steam Power Giraffe. You just listen to it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there. That's what you get.